If someone had told me 10 years ago that my childhood enemy will one day live under my roof, share my food, and sleep just a few feet away from me every night, I would have called them crazy. Do you know how I survived the evil plot that they plotted against me? What if I had not been touched by an angel that I still don't know this today? How could I not debunk any possibility of ever meeting her again in this lifetime? You see, because the truth is, there was a time when I couldn't stand the sight of her face. Her name was Amara. And for most of my childhood, she was the one person who made my life feel like a battlefield. But life has strange ways of rewriting old stories and painting realities in our faces. And the night she showed up at my door, soaked in rain and desperation, I had no idea that the person I once called my enemy would soon become the one person I trusted more than anyone else. Is there a different meaning to, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know, that I should know about? But before that night, you need to understand why we hated each other so much. Amara and I grew up in the same neighborhood, where everyone sees and knows everyone as much as can be known. Our houses were just 3 streets apart, and our families knew each other well. At first, we were just 2 ordinary children running around dusty playgrounds and fighting over small things like toys and football. But everything changed the day we started school, and of course, the changes that comes with teenage and pair groups. That was when the competition began. I still remember the first major clash between us. We were in primary 4 when the teacher announced the top student of the term. I had studied harder than ever before, hoping to impress my parents. When the teacher called my name as first in class, I felt like I was standing on top of the world. But then she called the second name, Amara. And the look she gave me that day was something I never forgot. It wasn't just disappointment. It was a challenge. From that day on, everything became a competition between us. Class tests, debate competitions, sports events. If I won something, she worked twice as hard to beat me the next time. If she won something, she made sure I heard about it for weeks. Teachers often joked that we behaved like 2 warriors fighting for the same throne. But as we grew older, the rivalry stopped being funny. It became personal. Secondary school made things worse. Teenage pride and stubbornness turned our rivalry into something darker. We argued constantly. Sometimes over academics. Sometimes over meaningless things. But every fight pushed us further apart. Our classmates even started calling us the enemies. There was a day during our final year that sealed everything. During an important inter-school debate competition, Amara accused me of stealing one of her research ideas. I accused her of lying. The argument exploded in front of everyone. By the time teachers separated us, we were both furious. From that moment on, we stopped speaking completely. When graduation finally came, I felt relieved. I thought I would never see her again. And honestly, I was happy about that. 10 years late. Life has a way of scattering people in different directions. After school, I moved to the city and began working in a logistics company. The job was difficult, but I worked hard and slowly built a stable life. Eventually I rented a small 2-bedroom apartment. It wasn't luxurious. But it was peaceful. Quiet. Exactly the kind of life I wanted. For nearly 10 years, Amara existed only as a distant memory from my childhood. Until the night everything changed. Now, this is the knock that changed everything. It was a cold evening during the rainy season. The rain was falling heavily, tapping loudly against my windows. I had just finished dinner and was preparing to sleep when someone knocked on my door. At first, I ignored it. Nobody usually visited me that late. But the knock came again. This time louder. Reluctantly, I walked toward the door. When I opened it, time seemed to freeze. Standing there in the rain was Amara, my childhood enemy. For a moment neither of us spoke. The rain continued pouring behind her, soaking her clothes completely. She looked different from the girl I remembered. Older, tired, and strangely vulnerable. Finally she spoke. "Please. I need your help." Her voice was quiet, almost fragile. I was too shocked to respond immediately. Out of all the people in the world, why would she come to me? After everything that had happened between us? But then she explained. Her company had suddenly shut down. She had lost her job. Without income, she couldn't pay her rent. Her landlord had thrown her out that very evening. She had nowhere else to go. Then she said something that completely caught me off guard. "You were the only person I could think of." I stared at her in disbelief. My enemy, asking me for help. Part of me wanted to close the door immediately. But another part of me saw the desperation in her eyes. After a long silence, I stepped aside. "Come in." The first few weeks were extremely awkward. We tried to avoid each other as much as possible. Conversations were short and uncomfortable. But slowly, something unexpected started happening. We began talking. Not arguing. Just talking. Late-night conversations in the kitchen. Small jokes over dinner. Stories about what life had been like during the past 10 years. And the more we talked, the more I realized something strange. The Amara I thought I knew from childhood was very different from the woman now living under my roof. Life had not been easy for her. After her parents passed away, she had been responsible for raising her two younger siblings. She worked multiple jobs just to keep them in school. Most of her dreams had been sacrificed for them. One night while we were eating dinner, she said something that stunned me. "You know something funny?" "What?" "I never actually hated you. I nearly choked on my food." "What are you talking about?" She laughed. "I was just trying to keep up with you." For the first time in years, I began wondering if our childhood rivalry had been a misunderstanding all along. 3 months passed. Living together slowly became normal. But one night, everything changed. I returned home late from work and immediately sensed something was wrong. The apartment door was slightly open. Inside, the living room was a mess. Drawers were pulled out. Papers scattered everywhere. Someone had broken into my house. My heart started racing. Then I heard a noise from the bedroom. I grabbed a metal rod from the corner and slowly walked toward the door. Just as I pushed it open, a masked man jumped out. He had a knife. Before I could react, he lunged toward me. The blade flashed toward my chest. And then, everything happened in seconds. Amara suddenly appeared behind me and shoved me aside. The knife sliced across her arm instead. She screamed. Anger exploded inside me. I swung the metal rod as hard as I could. The attacker stumbled. Amara kicked the knife across the room. Realizing the situation had turned against him, the man ran toward the door and disappeared into the night. But when I turned back toward Amara, my stomach dropped. Blood was dripping down her arm. "Why would you do that?" I shouted. She forced a weak smile. "Because you're too stubborn to die." At the hospital, the doctors stitched her arm while I sat quietly beside the bed. For the first time in years, I felt something unexpected toward the person I once called my enemy. Gratitude. And guilt. When the doctor finally finished and left the room, she looked at me and joked softly. "So, does this mean you finally owe me something?" I laughed nervously. More than you know. A few days later, the police caught the burglar. When they asked Amara why she had risked her life to protect me, she gave a simple answer. He may hate me, she said, but he's still family. That word hit me like a thunderbolt. Family. Then she reminded me of something I had completely forgotten. Our mothers had been best friends before we were born. We had grown up attending the same family gatherings. Birthday parties. Festivals. For years we had been like cousins. But our childish rivalry had buried those memories. Weeks later, Amara's arm healed. Life returned to normal. But the distance between us had completely disappeared. One evening while cooking dinner together, she looked at me and smiled. So, are we still enemies? I thought about everything that had happened. Then I shook my head. No, she raised an eyebrow. So what are we now? I smiled. Something better. Life has a strange way of changing the stories we believe about people. Sometimes the person you think is your greatest enemy is actually the one who will stand beside you when everything falls apart. And sometimes the people who once fought the hardest against you are the ones who understand you the most. As for Amara, well, she still lives under my roof. But these days, the word enemy is the last thing that comes to mind when I look at her. Because sometimes, the people we fight with the most are the ones destined to stay in our lives forever.